In 2010, someone used 10,000 Bitcoin to buy 2 pizzas. At today's prices, those pizzas would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That's how insane Bitcoin's journey has been. From a strange internet experiment to one of the most talked about financial assets in the world. But today, Bitcoin is no longer a few dollars. It's tens of thousands. And millions of people are asking the same question. Is it still worth investing in Bitcoin, or is it already too late? Because some investors believe Bitcoin will reach $500,000 or even $1 million one day, while others say it's nothing more than a giant bubble waiting to collapse. So in this video, we're going to break down why some investors are still buying Bitcoin, why others believe it could crash, and the real question you should ask before investing. Let's start with the biggest reason people still believe in Bitcoin: the scarcity factor. Unlike traditional money, Bitcoin has a fixed supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin in existence. No government can print more. No central bank can increase the supply. This is completely different from normal currencies like the dollar or euro. When governments print more money, inflation happens. Your money slowly loses value. But Bitcoin was designed to do the opposite. It becomes harder and harder to create new coins over time. This scarcity is one of the biggest reasons investors call Bitcoin digital gold. Just like gold, it's limited. And when something limited meets growing demand, prices tend to rise. But scarcity alone isn't the only reason Bitcoin keeps growing. Big money has entered the market. In the early days, Bitcoin was mostly used by tech enthusiasts and internet communities. But today, the situation is very different. Large institutions, hedge funds, and even public companies are buying Bitcoin. Why? Because many big investors see Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation. When the value of traditional currencies becomes uncertain, some investors move their money into assets that cannot be printed, assets like gold or Bitcoin. This institutional interest has pushed Bitcoin from a niche technology into a global financial asset. But this doesn't mean Bitcoin is risk-free. In fact, Bitcoin is still one of the most volatile assets in the world. The biggest risk: volatility. Bitcoin can rise incredibly fast, but it can also fall just as quickly. Throughout its history, Bitcoin has experienced multiple crashes where the price dropped 50% or more. For example, after reaching nearly $69,000 in 2021, Bitcoin fell to around $16,000 in 2022. That's a massive drop. For many investors, that kind of volatility is simply too risky. But interestingly, every time Bitcoin has crashed in the past, it eventually recovered and reached new all-time highs. Which brings us to another important factor: the Bitcoin cycle. Bitcoin historically moves in cycles that often follow something called the halving. Every 4 years, the reward for mining Bitcoin is cut in half. This means fewer new Bitcoin enter the market. Lower supply, combined with increasing demand, has historically pushed the price higher over time. It doesn't happen immediately, but in previous cycles, Bitcoin reached its biggest price increases 12 to 18 months after the halving event. This pattern is one reason many long-term investors remain optimistic. But even with these patterns, no one can predict the future with certainty. So, is it too late? The truth is, the answer depends on how you think about investing. If you're looking to make quick money in a few weeks or months, Bitcoin might be extremely risky. But if you're thinking long-term, 5, 10, or even 20 years, the perspective changes. Many investors don't try to mine the market perfectly. Instead, they slowly invest over time, accepting that the price will go up and down. Because the real bet behind Bitcoin isn't just about price, it's about whether Bitcoin continues to grow as a global financial system. If that happens, some believe today's prices could look cheap in the future. But if adoption slows down or governments heavily regulate crypto, Bitcoin could struggle. Final thoughts. Bitcoin is one of the most fascinating financial experiments in history. It has created millionaires. It has survived multiple crashes, and it has forced the world to rethink what money can be. But like every investment, it comes with risk. So the real question isn't just, is Bitcoin worth buying? The real question is, do you believe in the future of Bitcoin? Because if you do, you might see today's prices as an opportunity. But if you don't, then Bitcoin might just look like the biggest gamble in modern finance.